Kurt wanted a divorce so that, at some point, even though he had this beautiful daughter, he was done, with this abusive, narcissistic lunatic. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, okay. I'm so sorry. Tell us about Jessica.
No, you're good. Okay. So, this is where it starts with Jessica. So this is like her introduction to Courtney. And this is once again, this is from Everett True's the true story about Nirvana. Um Page 419. Someone in Huggy Bear got a copy of my fanzine, hit it or quit it, and passed it on to you. Courtney came to know about me through you, but I had also sent her a copy. There was a whole review in there, and it was really positive. It was the first issue. I was 15 in Minneapolis and just started working at a record store. I'd discovered punk rock and wanted to write, and no one would let me, so I started my own fanzine. A few weeks later, I got this oversized package with a whole t shirt and stickers. Then Courtney sent me a 16-page letter she wrote the day after she had Francis, whacked out on birthing drugs. The letter was all about Minneapolis and how I should start a band with Michelle Leon, the original Babes in Toyland bassist, and how her life had got so weird, and how all she ever wanted in Minneapolis was to work at the record store Northern Lights. She wanted to know how I was so young and cool. I was totally making fun of the Minneapolis cognoscenti, saying snarky things about a bad local rock band, Run Westy Run, and Soul Asylum, all these older dudes. I insinuated myself into the cool people circle in a tangential way. It was such an anomaly. I was alienated from most girls my own age, and most guys were intimidated by me. I was pretty sharp. I wasn't into getting high and getting laid like most people in high school. I was into feminism and bands like Don Fleming produced, Gumball, Hole, Sonic Youth, Ball or BALL, Ball, I don't know, and into Riot Girl, all at the same time. There was overlap between me and getting to know Courtney and discovering Kill Rock Stars. That was when they were putting out the wordcore singles. Kathleen Hanna of Bikini Kill was the first to contribute to the spoken word series. I got the letter and was like, whoa, she really craved a certain amount of attention and notoriety. She started to become notorious. There was not a person in town that had a kind word to say about her, and I identified with her over that. Opinions were divided about me. However badly behaved she had been while she lived here, I knew how Minneapolis could be. It was a real boys' town, and so I suspected there was really something to her, that she wasn't just this crazy bitch who was fucked up on drugs like people said. Any woman who is that demonized, there has to be more to her than people just being angry that she had supposedly introduced people to drugs. Her letter was funny and strange and encouraging. She wrote about how becoming a mom was impacting her and her life. It was clear she was struggling with how gross and bloated and disgusting everything had become. The Vanity Fair story had just come out. She was talking about not having an identity of her own and just being this signifier. Shortly after she sent the letter, she tried calling me. I called her back and I think we talked every day for about a year and a half. Her and Courtney had paid for the printing of her and Kurt had paid for the printing for my fanzine because I'd run out of money. So they sent me $300 to have as many fanzines as I could. Also, Courtney had given me this box of the first two issues of Pretty on the Inside to put out on Hit It or Quit It. Her fanzine within my fanzine. I was also given a photo of Kurt, Mark Lanigan, and Dylan dressed like babes in Toyland for Halloween, and I put them on 50 copies, but it was a weird thing to put even in a fanzine because people wanted to know how I was connected with Nirvana. I was going through all this Riot Girl stuff and had a falling out with all these Riot Girl people, and she'd had a similar thing. It was the beginning of her falling out with Toby and Kathleen, who'd written her fan letters and then written letters behind her back to Kurt. Um, and then it says, or so Courtney claimed at the time. Dot dot dot. Sometimes she'd talk about her problems with being famous. Yeah, like she had problem, whatever. And my problems being this weird teenage enigma in Minneapolis. I'd have people throw bottles at me and heckle me when my band would play. She'd talk to me about what songs Kurt was writing and what she was trying to do. Um, so that was how it started. Um, and now I'm trying to find.
I'm surprised a little bit that knowing how much Kathleen and Courtney loathe each other, that she I mean, of course, as a 15, 16-year-old girl, a famous person is writing to you and you're going to be, oh my gosh, charmed and you're going to feel very special. And so I have no, of course, I understand why she would, go hang out with her in Seattle and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but I do also, sometimes when a woman is demonized, it's because she's like a legitimate demon.
I was just about to say, because she's
Um,
actually a demon.
Yeah,
Spawn of
I mean, we
Satan.
can talk about people like Casey Anthony. We can talk about like the many, many,
Jodi Arias. Yeah.
and there's, women who used to take in babies in the 1800s and murder them with hat pins, as they would be pretending to give them, women who obviously there was no abortion. So women who would not be able to care for their baby, they would give them over to these women who would promise to find homes for them, and then they would murder them and put them in the Thames. So, no, some women are just fucking horrible. And being a
They
feminist is
really
not
are.
about saying everything women do is amazing. It's about saying that
No.
we should just be equal. Like, let's pay women
Yeah.
what men get paid and call it a fucking
Mm.
day, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
it. If women got paid on parity, it would decimate poverty. Children, wouldn't grow up without lunch. I
Yeah.
know I'm simplifying it a lot, but there's a huge,
No.
if women simply got paid parity, it would solve a lot of problems. I'm going to stop talking
Yeah.
about that now because I know no one wants a feminist manifesto from me, but that's all I'm talking about. Just because,
Yeah.
and hating Courtney does not mean that you're a misogynist. And
No.
when people try and throw that at me, I write them a nice
Um,
essay on why that's the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. But
Hating Courtney is, I feel like, the only sane thing you can do.
yeah,
Anybody that has actually spent, I don't know, at least 5 minutes reading about the things that she's actually done, if you don't at least strongly dislike her, you may want to look at your moral compass. Um,
absolutely. And I'll say too, I'm not a black hat, white hat person. Like I get that, like, there's this old TV show called Northern Exposure, and there was like
I
this
love that show.
philosopher. Oh my God, it's so good, right? Chris in
Yeah.
the Morning said something
Yeah.
like, "We're all a little bit Obi-Wan Kenobi and a little bit Darth Vader." Like, look,
Yes.
we all do good and bad things. No one's
Yeah.
arguing that. But
No.
the shirt that you just got, the old school Nirvana one that says like fudge pack and crack smoking. Let's do one for Courtney. And I literally mean this. Let's do this. Puppy murdering, kitten suffocating, uh, how can
Husband
we
killing
husband killing, um,
motherfucker.
motherfucker. No, we got to add something about the abuse that she's heaped on people
No.
physically and mentally. How do we add what she's done to Francis and what she did with Epstein? Because those things need to be
Mm,
on there too. And then again, you tell me
yeah.
how great Courtney is. You tell me what a fucking feminist icon she is, okay? I
Yeah.
cannot deal with her today. I'm just
I
like not
no.
having it.
I
Um,
She's like, she's about as anti-feminist as they come.
oh God, yeah.
The number of women that she has stepped on and shit all over, and
Told them that they deserve to get raped. Like, let's
mm,
should we talk about that? I used to have a whole blog about the horrible things that she's done, and we will bring it back. But I think, the things that we did in Seattle, like, made things so real, and
yeah,
we'll very soon be able to again talk about this. But I think like it's not just, hey, we're doing this podcast. Like the work that we've done behind the scenes, and the peer reviewed paper that's come out, and then the other forensics that we have worked on, and then going to Seattle, and then with everything together, I think it's like it's gotten to the point where I mean, not that this was ever like, oh, just something we were doing for fun. We've always been doing this to show people, who
the
this
truth.
person is and what she's done.
Yeah.
And I do want to say that this is me. No one else has to take that. I'm the one who's saying that Courtney did this, and that if that's defamation, please come to Canada and charge me. I would be more than happy to talk about. In Canada, you are allowed to say something as long as you believe it to be true, and I have mountains of evidence. Anyone who murders a puppy, um, I can't quite tell you how. Of course, most people would agree with me on that, but so yeah, try to prove that I'm defaming her when there's proof she's murdered small animals, and we'll
Well,
we'll go
and
from there.
I mean, all of the evidence points one way. Like if you look at the actual facts, and you don't buy into the twists and the manipulations and the lies that have been told.
And who had the
You look at
motive,
Yeah, I'll say
but
if you look at the facts, the motive, the timeline, the all of it points one way.
yeah.
Um, and it was not that he took his own life, that's for sure.
No, it sure wasn't. And, I will say too that I think we're at the point now, and I'm starting to see a sea change kind of in history where there are still some people who are, I want to use the word daft because I just think that word's so cute, but I'm going to
I love that
say,
word.
I like calling people, one of my favorites is, did you even read the report, you daft fuck? But, I just think it sounds cute and funny, but perhaps to others it doesn't quite come off that way. Um, but I think there are still people out there who just resonate with the archetype of who Kurt was too much to even look at the report or to even
Yeah.
look into the evidence, to look at how there's no blood spatter on his hand, to look at how the shotgun doesn't eject, to look at any of those things, and
Yeah.
they'll keep touting the suicide stuff and calling us conspiracy theorists. But there is a sea change where I can tell you that even powerful people now understand that this was not done by his own hand. And so this
Yeah.
is, can we get past the bureaucracy? That's what we're working on. But powerful people understand that this was not done by Kurt Cobain. And I think that is over the past year, finally, this past few months, since Brian's paper came out and since some of these things have happened. And I think when people have seen the caliber of our lawyer and the caliber of the people we've worked with on this, it's so heartening to see that I think most people now understand this. We get emails all the time from people who say, like, I have considered not continuing with my life, and I found you randomly on YouTube and decided, not to do that. And of course, they're huge Kurt fans, I'm sure, as you can imagine, how many people actually email that to us compared to how many people are feeling that way. And so, even if you're just having a low shitty day and you're just you're like, but remember, that's not what happened. I think I think that over the next 6 months we're going to see a lot more people admitting to this fact, and
Yeah.
we welcome them, and we are, very, very happy that people are starting to understand that. I have no idea where I went off on this tangent, but
Okay.
and I think that more people are going to start seeing, again with the Epstein, people go, oh well, Courtney called out Weinstein, so obviously she's a feminist because she called him out first. Like, Courtney does whatever Courtney thinks is going to make her money, popularity, fame. She will hijack anything. You think Courtney cares about anyone who got mistreated by Harvey Weinstein or worse? Not a chance.
No.
She has never cared about another woman in her entire life. So,
No. Not even her own mother.
or her own daughter.
I was just about to say, or her own daughter.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's such a wonderful thing that Frances does not have her in her life. How beautiful that the Hawks don't have to deal with her, and that lovely little grandson does not have to be tortured by that horrendous
I
thing.
uh, just I can just imagine the amount of havoc she would wreak on that family and on that baby. And I think that part worked out exactly as it was always supposed to.
I do too.
She's far away and not involved. And the only part that I am really sad about is that Kurt should be there.
Of
Um,
course.
Kurt should
Oh,
be
he'd be an
sitting there
amazing
buddied up.
grandfather.
Oh my God, he would
Yeah.
be. He should be sitting there buddied up with Tony freaking Hawk of all people,
Yeah.
and playing songs for his grandson and helping teach him how to walk, and
Yeah.
all the things.
I
Joking
mean,
around with Tony Hawk and
one of them's going to teach him how to skateboard. The other one's going to teach him how to play guitar. He's like the
he's
coolest
gonna
kid
be
of
the
all
coolest kid
time.
ever,
I know, right?
literally.
I know. It's
Oh, just his bloodline already. He's off to like an
he's
immaculate
royalty.
start.
Yeah, right? I
Truly.
know.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm so sorry. Okay, so let's get back to Jessica.
No, you're good.
Okay, so yes.
So next, the next passage that I highlighted was this is about Kristen Pfaff
Okay, perfect.
and her connection to Jessica and therefore Courtney. On March 19th, Hole played a secret show at the Crocodile Cafe where they premiered songs from their forthcoming album, Live Through This. It was their first concert with bassist Kristen Pfaff, then playing in the unrelenting amphetamine reptile three-piece, Janitor Joe. Kristen was dark and intelligent and a knowledgeable champion of independent music. Winona Ryder, as she acted in Night on Earth, would have been perfect to play her. Many from the Minneapolis area hardcore scene held Courtney as the devil and were aghast when Kristen left her hometown for Seattle. Hole still needed a bass player, says Renee Navarrete. The previous year, they tried out this girl, Leslie Hardy, but she couldn't play. So they moved her up to Seattle from LA, and I was trying to teach her, all the while hoping they'd ask me. She didn't work out. That's when they got Kristen. She was amazing. Courtney wanted me to play bass in Hole, but of course my parents wouldn't let me. Jessica laments. It was actually me who suggested Jessica to Courtney, a sassy 16-year-old with an unusual fixation on underground rock who could be better. Jessica had also appeared in national US magazines as a typical riot girl, an act that led to the Olympia and DC riot girls disassociating themselves from her as the movement was anti-assimilation. Jessica continues, she was like, you, me, and Kurt have to get together and record a demo, and LA Punk fanzine Flipside will be all over it. But of course, it never happened. At the time, it was just her and Eric. My parents were totally frightened by the prospect, but in my head, it was awesome. I'm glad now I didn't. So Courtney was asking me who she could get, and I told her about Kristen. But I got to visit Courtney in LA, the fanzine writer continues. This was when they were in the middle of a fax war with Albini. The house was a total mess and there were magazines everywhere. We went shopping and Patty Schemmel, the whole drummer, was around some. She ended up driving us. Courtney was shopping for clothes. She was trying to teach me about what cuts and styles of dresses would be cute on me. Things were pretty whacked out, but it was really nice. Kurt was withdrawn. It was a lot of chaos. She was very smart, very funny, always entertaining, totally a mile a minute. She wanted me to help her clip articles about her and Kurt out of magazines. I remember her dropping them over the balcony onto the living room to Patty. I'm surprised they didn't make a hole in the floor. On the way home to drop me off at my dad's house, someone had to either pick up drugs or drop off drugs. I asked Patty, is that what's going on? Come on, I'm not stupid. Why are we driving to Echo Park at 1 a.m. to run an errand? She denied it. I think Kurt was frequently overcharged for drugs by his friends. Callie once remarked to me how those two would be getting charged $600 for $100 worth of drugs, naturally. It made them think they were doing a lot more than they were.
That's so interesting.
I know there was a lot of stuff there kind of in the middle that is unnecessary, so I apologize for that. I probably should have trimmed it. But that end part, I think, is really important. Because I know a lot of people stand on that whole, well, Courtney always said he had, a $400 a day habit, a $500 a day habit.
Mm-hmm.
If they're judging his tolerance based off of the dollar amount, that throws that right out the window.
Yep, you're exactly right. And that's you always make like the best catches, but that's, yet another like amazingly astute thing that you noticed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it boggles my mind that they would even, I don't know, gauge it that way. Like, oh, well, he spent this much every single day. So, he has the biggest tolerance in the whole world. He could withstand that much, blah, blah, blah. Even if her and Callie are partly right, he wasn't doing even half as much as what Courtney has tried to make people think that he was.
Yeah. And can I ask you super quickly, because you've read all the accounts of Kurt previously overdosing. He was always found with a needle in his arm or right there, correct? There was never a time when he was like, bloop, doop, 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 puts it all back in the box and pushes the box away. He was always found with it in his arm, sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know if
Yep.
did he tie off? Do you have any idea whether or not that was ever found? I
Um,
mean, we know it
I
wasn't in
don't
the death
think that
scene, but
was, yeah, I'll say I don't know that that was ever specifically mentioned. I feel like the instance when, and I don't think it was even an OD, but when Tracy found him in the
okay.
bathroom, I think he had just nodded out after using.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think it
Okay.
was an OD, but I want to say like he at that point even had the needle still in his arm, and like he was still, I want to say, tied off and everything.
Right. Okay.
Like it was that quick.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but I can't think of that being mentioned in the other instances that have been detailed
Okay.
or written about.
Interesting. And I know that for people who haven't watched the Dylan one, we've been told that Dylan would often help Kurt shoot up by using a
Mhm.
blood pressure cuff
Yeah.
to help Kurt. So again, we go. How did he tie off and do at least 3 needles in the death scene to get that much heroin? And again, remember that Detective Szynski said 2 to 3 needles. So this is not something we've come up with. This is something that the SPD said themselves. So 2 to 3 needles. There's no tourniquet anywhere. No, those towels were not long enough to tie around his arm.
Mhm.
And even if they were, why are they not around his arm? Why
Yeah.
is everything over there shirt sleeves rolled
Out of
down, pulled
reach.
up? Yeah, I mean, it's not a
It's
thing.
well, right. That's like if he had done it himself, the needle should have been in his arm, the tourniquet at least close by,
Yeah,
if not still around his arm.
yeah,
Um, his sleeves should have been rolled up. At least one of his sleeves should have been rolled up.
yeah,
Um, and he should have been sitting right next to his stuff. He was way out of arm's reach.
yeah.
Like he would have had to move,
Oh, yeah,
scoot, or
yeah,
like it
yeah.
blows my mind.
I know. It's
How
amazing to me. And I think, again, people always comment, former users and people who are current addicts always post a few things and they always say, no, he would be out. There's no way he's lifting a 6 pound shotgun like
yeah, no,
this. One,
absolutely
and
not.
then you also don't take your life when you still have heroin. You take your life when you don't have drugs. That's when
Yeah.
no one wants to end their life when they're on the nod. Or I'm so sorry. I'm such a nerd
No.
because I don't know what people call that, but no one does that. And so we
Yeah, no,
know
you're
that
good.
that is simply not. And as we've said, and if anyone else can find any other thing where someone has chosen a violent means of taking their life after shooting a lethal amount of heroin, shooting, not eating, then please let us know because we have not been able to find any and we've been searching for over 2 years. So that
Yeah.
just doesn't happen.
We even had a mental health professional that's worked at like one of the top places in a huge city. They didn't give me permission, so I don't want to give in too many details so as to give them away. But they literally reached out and told me that they've worked there for 13 years
Yeah.
and never has there been an attempt or a successful where there's been a violent um unaliving
Yeah.
while they're actively high on
And I believe
opiates
that
or
they said they would like to do the podcast, but I could be wrong. But so hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll actually get them on here, and I think that really, again, really helpful for people who don't understand what that is like. And I mean, I'm fascinated by it as well. So I mean, doing my research, I certainly understand some of it, but hearing it firsthand, I think is going to help a lot of people understand how logistically, I mean, we'll say improbable because I think in the Bayesian analysis, we're getting a 95, 96%
yeah,
chance that this is a homicide, but it's statistically impossible.
yeah.
So
And it's like, I try not to say too much because I've never shot up and I've never done heroin specifically, but I did do opiates, powerful opiates, by another means, and I do know from repeated personal experience that when you do, it's it's instant. Like the number of times that like I would do it and then I don't know, inside of a minute I would already be going out.
And you
Um
you were ingesting.
I was snorting.
Oh, you were snorting. Okay. So yeah, so that should
So
be
but
okay.
I feel like injecting would be even quicker
It
than
would be
that. Like I
quicker.
know
Yeah.
they're yeah,
Yeah.
that would probably be the second quickest
Yeah. Yeah.
method, but I yeah, it's like in less than a minute. And I know especially when I overdosed, um the I, like it was almost immediate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I was out. Um and so it is unfathomable to me um how anybody can say that he had that much in his system and was able to do all of the things that they're saying he did.
Yeah.
It's physically impossible.
Yeah.
It is physically
Absolutely.
impossible.
And I think, again, I'm not going to beat this drum too much. I mean, I have been beating it, but I'll do it one more time. I think everybody at this point understands that. It's just a matter of what do we do about it? So that's sort of the situation we are dealing with behind the scenes and sort of, trying to get that worked out. And I did want to say, I believe that in the last podcast we did, um, I think Cam said that he thought it was a very slim chance that the case would get reopened. And I
Mm,
respect Cam's opinion, so much. He's an amazing human being, and has done so much of this research on his own. And before we had things like the bench report of the gun to show that there's like spatter on it, etc. But I
yeah.
think he's wrong. I mean, we
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing this if we didn't think he was wrong. So
Yeah.
let's hope that that you and I are right, and that that we get proven right.
Fingers crossed.
Exactly.
Trying to stay as hopeful as I can be without I don't know making it to where if it doesn't happen I'm so, heartbroken that I can't function or whatever, but
Well, I can say, how do I say this? Knowing what you and I know now, you know that the only reason it wouldn't get reopened is politics. And
mm,
I'm not talking about Democrat versus Republican. I'm talking about
right.
bureaucracy. And I will say that there is no reason that if we can get some media and get this past Courtney's lawyers, there's absolutely no reason that that cannot be pushed out of the way to get this reopened. So
Well, and I don't even see how her lawyers could stop it, to be
I don't
honest.
either. I don't get it. Like,
I
why are we not? I mean, again, hopefully in the next few weeks we'll see some more movement. But I cannot understand when we talk to people, and just Joe's statement alone a year ago should have been enough to go like, hey, we're not saying this, but this guy is saying this thing.
yeah,
What do you guys think?
yeah,
And the fact that this has been such a slog, the fact that the algorithm buries us constantly, that we are constantly having to, to try and just, beg our little community of amazing people to push this, like it, heart it,
yeah.
comment on it, please, like help us get this out because it has been a slog. But you know what? I'm going to say maybe it is divine timing. And this is exactly the time everything is supposed to happen. I feel like prior to Brian's, the peer reviewed paper coming out, um, maybe we didn't have enough evidence in the way that the scientific community needed it. Do you know what
Needed.
I mean?
Yeah,
We're just saying all
yeah,
this stuff, and we show Mike doing the ballistics testing, proving that the shell won't eject, et cetera. But having it in a 54-page forensic journal, published paper, that's totally different. And so I think maybe that's
yeah.
again why we're kind of seeing this sea change and going like, oh, okay, so real scientists, our lawyer, these incredible people are willing to put their name on this. Maybe we can actually, maybe we should take another think
It's
about
no
this.
longer just conspiracy theorists
Yeah, these
musing and talking on the internet. It's
exactly.
actual people that are experts and well respected and
Yeah.
have long careers and
Yeah.
good educations and et cetera, et cetera. that know what the bleep they're doing and what they're
Yeah.
talking about, and they're saying, actually, no, this is not right.
Yeah, exactly. And
Um,
they have something to lose, like
yeah.
it's not that you and I haven't lost things because of this. I mean, we will, we'll do a
We
podcast
won't
about
even go
that.
there.
No,
Yeah.
we'll do a podcast about that at some point. But I think like, when somebody like, like our lawyer goes and says like, hey, these questions just need to be answered, of course
Yeah.
whereas you and I are saying something a little different than he's saying. He's going like, none of this makes sense. And we're going, oh,
Yeah.
I'll tell you the whole story about what happened. But he's going like, okay, can we just like answer these questions?
Yeah.
And, I think people can think I'm crazy if they want. What does it matter?
Yeah.
I've been that crazy
See,
weirdo.
I've been the weird girl
Yeah.
my whole
Yeah,
life.
exactly. I'm
I've,
the like little weird pink-haired girl, so that's fine. But for these people, they have something to lose. And I think again, that's proven to people like, okay, we've got to, if this person thinks there's something to this, we should take another look. So,
yeah.
was there anything else about Jessica that you wanted to add?
Well, I think the rest of it's basically just about those last couple of days, um, that we basically already went over.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, because it's basically her going into all these details and talking about, um, the last time she saw him and this, that, and the other, and then we've got proof that, like, at least part of what she's trying to confirm for Callie isn't true. Like that him and Jennifer, and because there is a portion in here where she refers to, like, Jessica refers to Jennifer Adamson as Callie's girlfriend.
Okay,
And
interesting.
Callie openly says that he had um, Jessica and Jennifer. Yeah, like he says, Jennifer Adamson was my girlfriend. I had Jessica Hopper and Jennifer Adamson. Jessica was the good girl. Jennifer wasn't a bad girl. She was a drug girl, and Jennifer is dead. Um, but the point I was going to make is that on April 7th, um, Callie flew back to Los Angeles, like I said at the beginning. Um, but the thing is that the whole story that I'm sure everybody has heard or read or whatever about Callie and Jennifer and Bonnie going to the house and Bonnie seeing something in the window and being all freaked out by it, and
Yeah.
that whole story that supposedly happened in the evening of April 7th. Um, but the thing with that is that Callie flew out at 4 p.m. on April 7th
So that
and was
is
in LA.
all a lie then.
It has to be.
Right. So why
Um,
would they? And she's allegedly seeing something in the greenhouse. So we know Callie's gone. So Callie isn't there doing that. So they're utilizing something that was true. We know Bonnie did see something in the greenhouse on the fourth or the fifth when other people were up there in the greenhouse with Kurt. Um,
yeah,
so they're just utilizing something that's true and spinning it into something that they think Courtney must think is helps her or their alibi, whatever.
yeah,
I can't even fathom to think of how her brain works, but yeah,
yeah.
okay. I
Um,
mean, I know you're still working on this timeline, but the contradictions just must be like galling to you. Just so
it
many.
truly, and it's partly because at this point I'm getting all of the Tom Grant narrative down
Mm,
first because I just wanted that in place because that's kind of what I feel like most people are the most familiar with, I
right.
guess. And so I wanted to get all of that in place, and then go and be able to plug in everything else. And so just catching all of the contradictions in his own story, um, where he contradicts himself repeatedly, is mind-boggling to me. Um, like prior to starting this timeline earlier this year, I don't even remember when the bleep it was at this point now. Um, I already had a distaste for him, and felt like he had stalled this case and was not being honest and was holding a lot back, and he was gatekeeping and lying and like the whole thing. But now I there are so many things that I would love to ask that man, and like give him a truth serum or something to finally get some answers, because there's just too many discrepancies, and too many things that don't make sense and that don't add up, and where one book says one thing and his other book says something very different,
Mm.
where the same event is happening on different days, and things like numerous, like more than I have fingers. Um, I,
We will
and I'm not even
do.
done yet.
Oh my gosh, we will do a whole series on the timeline, and I think we're going to have to talk about a lot of that stuff. I believe that Tom sometimes does like a Zoom on Sunday that you have to be invited to, but also you're not allowed to talk about it publicly or something. Again, I don't know why anyone gatekeeps evidence. The only
I
time
don't
we
either.
gatekeep something is if there's like, some legal thing in the works that we literally can't talk about. But
Yeah, something like a gag order.
something like that for a few weeks.
Yeah, yeah,
Couldn't imagine what that could be.
yeah.
But yeah, so if people hopefully see the video, then they can go, well, I'm going to ask him this on this next Zoom, and maybe they can get some answers for us because,
That would be amazing.
yeah, it would be lovely to try to help put this um, very confusing portion of the case together in a way that again makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
because I mean, I will always admit, the good that Tom has done, like
oh,
the
of
recording,
course, yeah,
and
Rosemary
getting
Carroll
word out,
stuff.
and yeah,
Yeah.
Rosemary Carroll, and
Yep.
like the practice note, and
Hmm.
the suicide note. We would not know
Hmm.
what the actual note says if it wasn't for
That's
him.
right.
Like things like that, I will always give him credit where credit is due. But
Absolutely.
I also think he needs to have a come to Jesus moment and finally start um, telling the truth,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
telling all of what he knows.
And why everything got so convoluted at some point.
Yeah.
But I think the things, like you said, the things that still stand to this day are I don't really trust any of the Courtney recordings. They don't really tell me anything. But the Rosemary Carroll, the practice note, and the alleged suicide note are exceptionally important to this case. And
Yeah.
then the work that I believe Ricker did in talking to the fireman, the guy who broke the glass and figured out that the stool was on the other side of the room.
That, and then Ricker also interviewed Everett Edwards, which is one of the officers that was on scene March 18th. And that is how we know that when the police arrived, Kurt wasn't locked in a room with a gun. He was standing in the backyard, shy and embarrassed, with his hands in his pockets, and
Yeah,
insisting that he was fine, and he was just trying to get away from Courtney,
yeah,
and that he was not suicidal.
yeah,
Um, so I think that's really important as well.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I mean, like there are some of the Courtney recordings that I think are like her admitting that she filed the missing persons report. Her all of the talking about money, all of her constant going back and forth with 1 minute he's suicidal and the next he's divorcing her. Well, he can't be doing both.
Yeah, yeah.
Both cannot be true at the same time.
Hmm.
Um, so, but I've also been staring at this stuff for every day for a lot longer. So,
Yes.
um,
Well, I can't wait to work on those podcasts with you.
I can't either.
Yeah, so it should be good. Thank you so much for doing all that,
Of course.
all the work on the timeline, and of course, all the work on the Jessica, Bonnie, and Jennifer that we did today. And I will talk to you very soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Bye, love.
Bye.